In March 2026, the world woke up to a nightmare. It wasn't a nuclear war, nor a natural disaster, it was silence. The silence of the global economy's most vital artery, the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow choke point shared by Iran and Oman, yet holding the power to bring the entire world to a grinding halt. On that day, February 28th, that power was finally unleashed. 20% of the world's global oil, and 20% of its natural gas, instantly vanished from the market. The world held its breath. The chain that held the global economy together simply snapped. But how did we get here? How did a narrow strip of water end up holding the fate of the entire world in its hands? This isn't a story that started in 2026. It's a story centuries in the making. A tale of power, gold, oil, and one specific gateway that unlocked them all. This is the story of the Strait of Hormuz, and how it brought the world to its knees. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is your brother Geoancient wishing you a happy Eid. Don't forget my Eid gift, hit that subscribe or follow button and join the family. Thank you. Centuries ago, long before oil dominated the globe, the name Hormuz was synonymous with immense wealth and luxury. It was the name of an opulent kingdom situated on the islands of this very strait. The kingdom of Hormuz was the great commercial hub bridging the east and the west. Pearls, silk, exotic spices, anything of true value passed through this corridor. Hormuz wasn't just a strait. It was the gateway to the world. But just as gold attracts thieves, prosperity attracts empires. In the 15th century, the Portuguese arrived. Following fierce battles, they seized the strait, fully understanding one simple rule: whoever controls Hormuz controls the trade of the Indian Ocean. Later, the British arrived. The strait became an arena where great powers clashed. But the biggest war was yet to come. The world hadn't yet realized that the future of humanity would soon rely on a dark liquid buried deep beneath the earth. The 20th century brought the world a new kind of thirst, a thirst for oil. Cars, planes, megafactories, modern life as we know it became entirely dependent on it. Suddenly, the barren deserts surrounding the Persian Gulf became the most critical resource hubs on the planet. Yet, there was only one way to export these riches to the outside world: the Strait of Hormuz. Once a story of pearls and silk, it became a story of millions of barrels of crude oil flowing daily through a narrow passage, just 39 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. Think of it as the main artery carrying blood away from the heart of the global economy. Squeeze that artery, and the whole world chokes. This concept was not just theory. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, the world witnessed the infamous tanker war. Both sides explicitly targeted oil tankers to cripple each other's economy. The world watched in pure shock. Even an Iranian passenger plane, Iran Air Flight 655, was tragically shot down by mistake in 1988, killing 290 people. This was a massive tragedy, guys. If you want a dedicated video on this event, let me know in the comments. Hormuz has always been a flashpoint for tension, but it had never been fully closed for a prolonged period. It was simply too dangerous. Until 2026. In the years leading up to 2026, tensions had been boiling over. Failed nuclear talks, the cross-border strikes of 2025. The warning signs were flashing red. Iran repeatedly threatened to close the strait if attacked. Meanwhile, the US and its allies continuously stressed that this was a non-negotiable red line. Then, the feared day arrived, February 28, 2026. The US and Israel launched a massive assault codenamed Operation Epic Fury. The target? Iranian military and nuclear infrastructure. Amidst the heavy bombardment, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was killed. Iran's retaliation was swift and devastating. Missiles rained down on US bases in the Gulf. Israel itself was struck. But the move that truly shook the world came from the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. Using VHF maritime radios, they broadcast a chilling message to all global shipping.
Transit through the Strait of Hormuz is officially forbidden. Transit through the Strait of Hormuz is officially forbidden.
The silence began. The global artery was choked. Many wondered, how could Iran dare challenge the supreme military might of the United States? The answer didn't lie in massive destroyers or cutting-edge stealth jets. It lay in a strategy Iran had perfected over decades: asymmetric warfare. A war between adversaries with vastly different military strengths. Iran didn't need to win a direct war. They only needed to make the strait unusable. Look at the map. The Iranian coast completely dominates the northern side of the strait. Small, highly strategic islands like Keshem, Larak, and Abu Musa were turned into impregnable military fortresses. They packed the area with anti-ship missiles, suicide drones, sea mines, and hundreds of tiny, fast-moving speedboats designed to swarm in packs. Their philosophy is ruthlessly simple. It is vastly cheaper to destroy a $200 million oil tanker using a $20,000 drone. The US military has to protect hundreds of targets. Iran only needs to land one lucky strike. It wasn't a conventional closure. It was smart control. Ships without US or Israeli affiliations weren't instantly attacked. act unless they tried to force their way through. However, the sheer risk pushed shipping insurance premiums into the stratosphere. A single transit through Hormuz started costing over $250,000 just in insurance. Once the last Defiant ship went up in flames, movement officially died. It's said that after the famous ship MSC Ares, owned by billionaire Eyal Ofer's Zodiac Maritime, was seized by Iran, his brother Idan Ofer desperately consulted the Turkish president, Mr. Erdogan, looking for a way for their fleets to operate. But their efforts were completely fruitless. The world was watching, paralyzed. The initial shockwave hit the energy markets. Brent crude prices violently spiked past the $100 mark. But that was just the beginning. The fallout was a domino effect, scattering out of control. You might not know this, but the Gulf region produces 44% of the world's sulfur, a byproduct of oil and gas refining. Sulfur is the hidden ingredient of the modern economy. It's used in everything from agricultural fertilizer to the extraction of crucial minerals like nickel and cobalt used in electric batteries. Even microchips for our phones and laptops require it. When sulfur vanished from the market, the price of fertilizer shot up. Global farmers could no longer afford it. This led directly to the very real threat of global famine. Take aluminum, for instance. The Gulf produces 9% of global aluminum. Once production froze, the cost of everything from cars to food cans soared. But the heaviest, most unexpected blow came from another angle. Qatar, the world's second largest exporter of LNG, liquid natural gas, is 100% dependent on the Strait of Hormuz. Tech giants in Taiwan, like TSMC, who manufacture 90% of the world's most advanced microchips, rely heavily on Qatari gas for stable electricity. When Qatar's gas was blocked, the world's most critical tech factories faced sudden, dark shutdowns. The silence of Hormuz had mutated into a global alarm siren echoing across world industries. It wasn't just a war over oil anymore. It was a war against the supply chains holding modern civilization together. Panic seized global capitals. The International Energy Agency, IEA, announced the largest release of oil reserves in history, 400 million barrels. It was meant to be a bridge, buying time, but it wasn't a lasting cure. President Donald Trump, once again in office, threatened that the U.S. Navy would immediately enter the strait to escort shipping. But Pentagon generals knew it wouldn't be that simple. Forcing the strait open required massive, devastating bombardments on the Iranian coastline, risking the lives of thousands of soldiers and threatening to spark an uncontrollable regional war. The blood and treasure spent to open the strait could far outweigh the economic cost of it being closed. European powers like France and Germany were highly reluctant to join a military coalition. China, the largest consumer of Iranian oil, pulling 40% of its total oil from the Gulf, pleaded for an end to hostilities. But Iran started a new strategic game. Reports claimed they allowed Chinese vessels to pass unharmed if they visibly carried a China owner banner. It was a clear message: in a divided world, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Meanwhile, the rest of the world scrambled for desperate alternatives, rerouting oil pipelines through Saudi Arabia to the Red Sea, or taking the massively long detour around the Cape of Good Hope. Both were far too expensive and painfully insufficient to replace the missing flow. The globe entered a state of sheer uncertainty. The shutdown lingered. The economy bled. The hot war unleashed on Iran had mutated into a devastating global economic war, and Hormuz was the absolute center of the battlefield. Following Israel's heavy attack on Iranian oil reserves, Iran struck back with catastrophic vengeance. They began torching oil reserves across the entire region, targeting Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, and reaching as far as Israel. You could say almost every oil corporation in the Middle East was virtually wiped out. Not a single facility survived Iran's apocalyptic onslaught. This pushed the already chaotic oil prices into catastrophic, unimaginable heights. The entire planet could do nothing but look at the Middle East with profound despair. Realizing the devastating backlash of their strike against Iran's reserves, a regretful President Trump lamented that such attacks would not be repeated. The crisis of March 2026 taught the world a painful lesson. It laid bare the extreme fragility of the supply chains that bind our global economy. It exposed how our everyday lives, from the food we put on our tables to the smartphones in our hands, are deeply tied to a narrow choke point of water thousands of miles away. The Strait of Hormuz is no longer just a spot on a map. It has become a mirror reflecting our ultimate reliance and our deepest vulnerabilities. It proved that modern wars aren't solely fought with supersonic missiles, but by seizing control of economic arteries. To this day, the tension remains. The world adapts to a chilling new reality. But the question echoes on: just how much longer can the world hold its breath? What do you guys think? Will the future of our world always be at the mercy of naval choke points like this? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive history documentary, make sure to hit that subscribe or follow button, drop a like on the video, and share it with your friends so they can learn about this crucial piece of global history too. Thanks for watching.